1. Positive thinking. Benefits of positive thinking. In recent years, many studies have been conducted that have shown the benefits of positive thinking. For example, a paper published in the Journal of Behavior Research and Therapy and a University of Kentucky study speak to the importance of this skill. First of all, these benefits relate to health, increased life expectancy, lower rates of depression, low stress levels, improving psychological and physical well-being, helps to cope with pressure, apathy, and other negative conditions. Of course, not all positive-looking people are actually positive. That is why, by the way, this skill is perceived incorrectly. They say, "I know one of them. Yesterday they took me away with a heart attack." When demons roar inside a person, and he himself smiles at everyone he meets, this does not make him an optimist, but, rather, leads to schizophrenia, as well as somatic diseases. What if it's you? It's about a real, not a fake, change of state. Yes, sometimes you will have to pretend, especially if you are a leader and should radiate optimism for your team. But if you do not learn to be truly positive, there is a risk of internal conflicts and serious health problems. We will talk about how to achieve this later in the article. Other benefits of positive thinking include: increase the likelihood of achieving the goal, high level of motivation and willpower, ability to cope with conflicts and communicate with people, good concentration, self-confidence. Renowned motivational speaker Brian Tracy talks about the two main benefits of positive thinking. People with positive thinking are always thinking about what they want to achieve and keep looking for ways to get it. They clearly understand their goals. They are looking for the bright side in any event. When something goes wrong, they say, "Well," and proceed to solve the problem. Experiment. Barbara Fredrickson, a researcher at the University of North Carolina, conducted a classic experiment with 5 groups of people. Each group was shown pictures that provoked a different emotional response. The first group saw images that evoked joy. The second group was shown pictures that provoked satisfaction. For the third group, the pictures were neutral. The images for the fourth group were meant to scare her. The fifth group of pictures were angry. Each group was then asked to write down what actions they would take in a situation that created similar feelings. Groups 4 and 5 recorded significantly fewer actions than the others. Groups 1 and 2 recorded more different options and details. In other words, feeling positive helped to see more possibilities and options. Fear and irritability constrain a person. People who think more positively are more likely to do something to bring those thoughts to life. They learn new skills and develop existing ones, so they really have more opportunities in life. Warning: positive thinking is great. But you shouldn't think like that whenever a tragedy happens in your life. Bad situations happen from time to time and being always positive is counterproductive. Mental exercises. It's time for practical advice. The more often you apply them, the faster positive thinking will become your primary way of thinking. These exercises will help to direct all the negativity in the right direction, so that after a while this flow will turn into positive proactive thinking. When talking or thinking, try to use at least one strong word. If you constantly say to yourself, "I can't," sooner or later you'll believe it and make it true, Henry Ford confirms. Instead, replace negative words with positive, strong words. Examples of such words are: fearless, delight, faith, spirit, valor, courage, support, uplift, joy, heart, courage, bravery, miracle. Use words that you associate with success and strength. Fill your thoughts with words that make you feel strong, happy, and in control of your life. Focus on them, not the ones that make you feel like a failure. Just note that this exercise alone will clearly not be enough. Thinking of yourself as a great man and doing nothing is the first step to madness and unhappiness. Direct your thoughts. Surely you are very tired of obsessive and unpleasant thoughts. But here's the question: who's forcing you? Contrary to popular belief, you can get rid of this habit, and quickly enough. Desire is of the utmost importance. If you want, you can control yourself every day, hour, or even minute. It is better to choose a weekend for the experiment, because it is an energy-consuming process. The method is extremely simple. Select the emotion or state you want to evoke. Write down 10 phrases that are associated with them and read them aloud several times. Analyze what went wrong. To think positively does not mean to deny the existence of a problem. Carefully analyze the mistake or failure and try to understand what went wrong, what to do next and what lessons to learn. Some call it proactive thinking, but it's part of positive thinking. Prepare for the worst and always think about what could have been worse. This is one of the principles of Stoicism. Followers of this philosophical trend were morally preparing for the worst-case scenario, so that the psyche would not break at the right time. Think of failure as an opportunity. Another principle of Stoicism. Sometimes even seemingly negative things in life present us with opportunities that can be used to their advantage. Maybe losing your job is just a chance to start your own business. There can be 3 relationships to failure. Negative, I'm a loser. Neutral, can the situation be rectified? Ideal, how can I use this to my advantage? Successful people choose a neutral attitude to the problem, great people choose an ideal one. Sit up straight. Are you experiencing negative emotions, depressed, upset? Then your body begins to obey emotions, you become slow, and your back takes the form of a question mark. We have already said many times, you can change your state with the help of physical movements. Sit up straight if you're at home. Raise your head confidently if you walk down the street. Dance if others don't mistake you for an idiot. Relax and let life just happen. One of the central principles of Buddhism and many other Eastern teachings. Behold! Even the biggest problems can disappear if you look at reality objectively. People lose money, conflict, argue, this is absolutely normal. Do good to others. Before moving on to the next piece of advice, think about it, there is something in this recommendation that religious figures, philosophers, writers, and just good people have been talking about it for thousands of years. Good ennobles the soul, pacifies the ego, makes you happy. There is one plausible opinion, one cannot become happy without taking care of others. Stop reading news and comments. News is so attractive that it causes only negative emotions. 7 days without this poison will be enough to taste real, not distorted, life. Watch what is happening, be curious. Reading comments is another way to spoil your nerves. Most of them, primarily in social networks, are sarcastic or offensive, and are by no means aimed at raising the mood. Stop complaining and complaining. Constantly complaining to yourself and others about a difficult fate is the best way to become a pessimist and turn people away from you. The most negative thing about the complaint is that you do not offer any solution. Even if all the lamentations were true, it doesn't matter. Here's what it has. Mentally pull yourself out of a negative situation. Shift your point of view on the problem. Offer a solution. If there's nothing you can do, decide that complaining is an extremely unpleasant habit. Just come to terms with the situation. Exercise. As you know, when we feel bad, we do not go for a run. Sport is the best way to get your body and psyche in order, because in it every minute is an achievement. We swam 100 meters, offset. Lifted 30 kilograms barbell, excellent. All this is noted in the head as a positive achievement. Plus, during sports, the body produces chemicals that reduce stress and lift the mood. Watch your stream of consciousness. When you're just sitting there thinking, what thoughts are running through your head? What emotions and what states do they cause? Watching them will teach you how to redirect them in a more positive direction. In general, it is the work on thoughts that will help to instill positive thinking. In the concept itself there is a correct answer. You will be able to control them and you will succeed. But in order to increase the chances of success, we give other tips, workarounds, which in general will give an excellent result. Write down 100 things that you enjoy doing. This exercise itself can direct your thoughts in a positive direction. But even if not, you will get a list from which you can squeeze the maximum of happiness and joy. Even small things will do, taking a hot spirit or walking through fresh snow. Create something. For many people, the act of creation is the best way to feel at their best. Negative thinking in itself paralyzes our desire to do something creative. But if you overcome this rejection and create something, you can change your state. Write a thank you list. Gratitude evokes positive emotions and raises morale, because you have something to build on. After all, you already have something, and you can get more. Remind yourself of what you already have, and don't blame yourself for what isn't there yet. How to develop and reinforce positive thinking. The following techniques are stronger than the previous ones. However, in combination, they give a very strong effect, so combine them. 1. Create the right morning routine. It's extremely hard to fix anything if the morning isn't set. So develop a morning plan. It can include a healthy and nutritious breakfast and many methods, some of which we will talk about further. 2. Engage in visualization when everything does not go as we would like. You want to find some way that will not take much time and at the same time will bring maximum benefit. Visualization is exactly what you need. This is too big a topic, so all the points will not be highlighted. But let's highlight the basic rules. Engage all senses. Imagine the desired future in every possible detail. Believe it with all your heart and stay in this state. 3. Meditate. Meditation will not solve all the problems of your life, although the number of articles about it may seem so, but it will be useful. Its value is to learn to stop the flow of thoughts and stay calm. Once you learn how to do this, the skill to think positively will come by itself. Then why not do meditation exclusively? Because good results will come at best in a few months, and patience for this is not always enough. 4. Develop a personal mantra. This is a task that can take several days, so be patient. What is a mantra in our understanding? These are the words that you want to say to yourself every day, and that will penetrate the unconscious or will loom at the level of consciousness. This mantra should summarize all the most important thoughts you believe in. Of course, it is desirable that they are positive, inspiring and motivating. 5. Take full responsibility. You won't think positively if you smile constantly and use strong words. It's important to start respecting yourself and being proud of yourself. To do this, you need to get out of the state of sacrifice and become the author of life. And the first step is accountability. In everything and always you must remember 3 important points. I am the author of my life. I am responsible for myself. I and only I am responsible for my own destiny. Developing positive thinking, 10 simple exercises. One day, Professor Susan Segerstrom of the University of Kentucky tested the level of optimism of her students and rated it on a 5-point scale. After 10 years, she asked about the income level of graduates. It turned out that each point turned into $35,000 difference in their annual earnings. Not bad, huh? We figured out why this happened, and picked up exercises on how to develop positive thinking. What are positive and negative thinking and how they differ? Thinking positively does not mean eradicating negative emotions from your life altogether, as esoteric teachings often advise. Troubles still happen, and it is impossible to prohibit to react to them and even harmful to the psyche. But it is quite possible to find advantages, lessons, and opportunities in the situation. Take the example of the American inventor Thomas Edison, who said, "I have not failed. I've only learned 10,000 ways that don't work." The essence of positive thinking is the ability to find at any time of life a reason for joy and perceive failures rationally, analyzing the reasons and accepting as a valuable experience. Forming positive thinking is really useful and desirable. But blind, stubborn optimism out of nowhere is stupidity. The power of positive thinking is undeniable. Optimists are productive and earn more. Journal of Career Assessment, 2008. People with a positive perception of life are less likely to get sick. This was found out more than 30 years ago by psychologists Lawrence Shire and Charles Carver, Health Psychology, 1985. A positive way of thinking makes more successful not only the person himself, but also his subordinates. The advantages of positive thinking are many more. You can enjoy life, be interested in new things, be healthy, cheerful and self-confident, look good and succeed. Negative thinking is the lowest level of thinking development. The stronger it is, the more problems in a person's life. Unlike positive thinking, negative thinking has dangerous consequences. Unwillingness to learn new things and unwillingness to change, dissatisfaction with the present, nostalgia for the past, expectation of the worst, greed, condemnation of others. A negative thinker never knows what exactly he wants, he is always not satisfied with everything. Which path do you choose? The answer seems obvious, but how to learn not to notice the negative? Are there any methods for developing positive thinking? Positive thinking is indispensable for finding inspiration and generating new ideas. 10 effective methods for positive thinking. So, being optimistic is beneficial. But what if you are prone to pessimism? In this case, psychologists have come up with special exercises for the development of positive thinking. They really work. This was confirmed by professors at the University of North Carolina, Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, 2008. We have compiled a selection of 10 simple exercises for each day. Use reframing. Reframing is the interpretation of negative situations in a positive way. For example, the decline in employment at work made it possible to rest or engage in self-education. Positive aspects can be less significant and even absurd, the main thing is to find them all together. Write down the positive events that happened during the day. It does not matter how significant they are and in what sphere of life they occurred. The more of them, the better, but you should start at least with 3 to 5. Then, specify which actions led to these events. For example, acquaintance with a useful business partner took place thanks to the accepted invitation from friends to go with them to nature. Exercise instantly improves mood and develops the habit of paying more attention to positive events. You can read more from the American psychologist Martin Seligman in the book The Path to Prosperity. A new understanding of happiness and well-being. Smile more often. Even a strained smile after a while becomes real and improves mood. Let go of the past. Most of us will find unpleasant situations of the past years, which we scroll through in our heads and emotionally experience again and again. It's redundant. The past cannot be changed, and there is no need to drag such a burden with you. Imagine that a problem from the past burns in a fire, drowns in the ocean or crumbles from impact. Describe what happened on paper and burn or drown it. Mentally, out loud, or in writing, forgive the abuser or yourself. Don't forbid yourself to experience negativity. It is impossible to think exclusively optimistically, and attempts to do this will lead to even greater frustration. Say aloud the emotions you have and allow yourself to experience them for a period of time. For example, I'm angry, I'll be angry for another 10 minutes, I'll give vent to anger by tearing up this unnecessary piece of paper. Having splashed out the negative, proceed to a sober assessment of the situation. Listen to upbeat music. According to an article published in 2012 in the Journal of Positive Psychology, this is a very effective way to develop positive thinking. Do something for other people. It can be charity, pleasant words, or help to colleagues and relatives. Satisfaction from what has been done, the appreciation of people and the realization that others' problems and difficulties can be much more serious, will bring a huge charge of positive. Practice affirmations. Affirmations are the repetition of positive phrases, for example, I am lucky in business, I successfully solve work tasks. Affirmations can be applied not only to something global, but also to specific life events, for example, I am successfully speaking at this meeting or this business meeting is productive. If at first affirmations seem strange and inappropriate, after dozens of repetitions the brain adapts, begins to believe in what was said and tries to find confirmation of it in life. Arrange yourself a mini vacation every day. Set aside half an hour or an hour a day for something that brings joy. A walk, meeting friends, reading, playing football, a bath with fluffy foam, fragrant tea with cake. During the vacation, try not to think about pressing matters and problems, enjoy every minute. Analyze. Approach negative events in life from a rational perspective. If trouble happens, try to answer the following questions in detail. Why? What extraneous factors or own actions led to this? What can be done to resolve the problem altogether? What steps should be taken in the very near future? The power of positive thinking is very great, allows you to find a way out in any, even the most difficult situation, where many despair and give up. Observing the life path of successful people, we see that not everyone was lucky, often faced difficulties, but continued to smile, go forward and conquer new heights. Positive thinking is based on faith, life loves me, and will definitely contribute to success. It is interesting that, changing the attitude to life, we observe changes in the external world. There is a certain relationship, who seeks, he will find, who believes, it will be given. Positive thinking, the power of thought have always aroused interest, the desire to learn the secrets that open the doors of success. So how do you develop positive thinking? Ways to develop positive thinking. Through exercises, you can change the course of your thoughts, learn to direct in the right direction. How to think financially, to develop the art of positive thinking. 1. At the beginning of each day, you should think about the good and pleasant. Cheer yourself up, remember that you have achieved a lot and will be able to do even more. Thank fate for everything good, family, friends, children, health. We have a lot of assets that we don't notice, and they are very valuable. 2. In any situation, consider the issue from different angles. Trying to understand what useful can be learned from this question, how to transform negative into positive. As Carnegie says, if life gives you a lemon, make lemonade out of it. 3. Belief in God, very much helps to gain self-confidence and positive thinking. Those who believe are not afraid of any difficulties, knowing that higher powers are on his side. Non-believers should develop confidence in themselves and their abilities, realize their importance, the influence of thoughts and actions on the formation of life. 4. Control your thinking. Feeling that negative thoughts appear, try to refute them, find a substitute for positive statements. Nothing can be bad in life, there is always another side of the coin. Despair is a bad helper, rather an enemy. To succeed, you need to believe in yourself, remember victories and go forward with a sense of self-esteem. 5. Keep a record of your achievements. Every day write what you managed to do, where you managed to express yourself, get recognition from society. Such a diary is useful to reread during periods of a negative state, depression. Memories of past successes charge with positivity and faith. 6. When obstacles appear in life, difficulties, it is better to perceive them as another life task, without emotions and dramatization. Everything can be solved, you just need a sober mind, the search for the best way out of the situation. Sober calculation, analysis of the issue always helps, try to look at everything from the outside. What advice would you give to a friend, for example? 7. Life moves in the direction of the most active thought. Whether it arises spontaneously, everything is bad, I am a loser, or it will be specially formed depends on the person, I am successful, I am always lucky, I achieve everything easily in life. The power of positive thinking is always manifested in the life of a person who pays attention to this issue, directing thoughts in the right direction. 8. Self-hypnosis, meditation help to form positive thinking. You need to devote at least 15 minutes a day to the mood for positivity, the formation of thoughts necessary for development. 9. Try to minimize the impact of negative people on your life. Often a person tends, in view of his failures, to dissuade others from trying and achieving. Learn from successful people who have achieved a lot and can share experiences. 10. Increase self-esteem, realize your characteristics, uniqueness. In each person there is something special and unique, the main thing is to find a way to use talents, to discover inner strength. Self-esteem is the inner core of any personality, without it there is no success and achievement. To love one's neighbor, one must love and respect oneself. Of course, without selfishness and narcissism. The power of positive thinking can help to radically change life, learn to look at the world around you differently. In every person there is a hidden inner potential, which is revealed like a flower, thanks to faith and a positive perception of life. Can a person influence external circumstances? An interesting question is that we do not choose life, country, parents, the world around us, but we choose our attitude to reality, we can transform it. It happens that in the same conditions someone feels happiness, and another, sadness, the world, the same, people and thoughts are different. Those who live on the side of positivity, are always happier and luckier, find new opportunities and chances for growth. And others claim, lucky, because they themselves do not believe in themselves and cannot succeed. We can say that new thoughts are a new life. Thoughts are material, any changes should be made, starting with yourself, to study the sphere where it does not add up, why there are constant failures, to find the root of problems, to identify attitudes at the subconscious level. It will help to write down in writing all thoughts on this issue, perhaps not knowing how much negativity has accumulated to the issue of finances, personal relationships, or other areas. There is an expression, wherever a person goes, he always takes himself on the road. Yes, it is negative thoughts and attitudes that are obstacles, stones that do not allow the inner potential to be fully revealed, pulled down. They are acquired in the process of life, from parents, friends, from the media, television programs. A person, like a sponge, absorbs the world around him, if he does not put an internal filter. Often in school they do not like children who have their own opinion, it is easier to manage the crowd, but only in this way you can become a person, find your way, open up to the world, believe in your potential. Anxiety, suspiciousness lead to uncertainty, inability to become leaders in life. And people who know how to enjoy life, regardless of the circumstances, assessments, problems, and in the future, easily cope with difficulties, do not lose heart. We come to the conclusion, a person can change the world by changing himself from the inside at the level of thinking and perception of life. This path is the most correct, because changing others is a thankless and unrealistic task. And in a new role, you will attract new situations, new acquaintances with people similar in spirit, gain more opportunities to move forward. The power of positive thinking helps to work miracles in life, to make significant changes. 2. Someone can independently tune into the right wave, using autosuggestion, listening to music, someone resorts to religion and reads the Bible. There are many ways, everyone chooses a closer in spirit. Often the state of stress is associated with excessive loads and guilt, which interferes with normal life. You need to fight this, learn to let go of the past and forgive yourself for past actions, trying to be better in the present and future, to correspond to the inner image. In the opposite case, problems, diseases, constant failures are inevitable. A person himself does not allow himself to live a life full of joy on a subconscious level. Similarly, resentments against other people destroy inner peace, interfere with positive thinking, lead to stress and illness. It is worth relying on yourself for everything and accepting that the world and people are imperfect and tend to make mistakes, forget something. Doing good to others, Do not wait for gratitude, learn to rejoice in the opportunity to help, to make the world a better place. Often helping to realize, to believe in yourself to relatives, you yourself gain inner strength, become more open to the world and life. To change your life and achieve success, think more often about future victories, smile, be ready to accept something new, create a positive atmosphere around, filling the world with joy. It is not always worth waiting for the good from life, more often you first need to give, love, care, make efforts to achieve the goal, and the world will reciprocate. How to learn to restore inner strength. The power of positive thinking is impossible without the ability to restore inner strength. Often there is a feeling, everything is wrong, life has failed, nothing works. Why? Such thoughts arise as a result of fatigue, physical, emotional. The most common causes of negative thinking are lack of sleep, stressful situation at work, at home, physical fatigue from work, a series of failures, lack of understanding of others, lack of support, health problems. What to do when you often notice the appearance of negative thoughts? This is a symptom, you need to analyze what the cause is, find and try to influence, minimize. If the reason is physical fatigue, illness, then you should pay attention to the availability of proper rest and health promotion. If in the emotional, mental sphere, then we will use the following technique: what's bothering me? Why do I think so? What is the evidence for this? How can this situation be perceived differently? What are the options for resolving the issue? What can I do? Remember past successes, believe that there are no hopeless situations. Find the best solution and start implementing the plan. To influence the depressed emotional state for no apparent reason, you can use the following methods. Turn on your favorite music. Walking in the fresh air, observing the world around you, as for the first time, noticing all the details, flowers, trees, communication with a beloved friend, girlfriend, meditation, self-hypnosis to calm music, any productive activity that can please, knitting, embroidery, cooking, poetry, athletics. It is always worth looking for interest, positive in life, so it is easier to live, to solve the difficulties that arise. There is no way out of the grave, the rest is the trifles of life. The essence of positive thinking is the ability to maintain a calm state of mind, to find joys in life, not to succumb to difficulties, not to perceive the negativity floating around. The laws of positive thinking. The power of positive thinking is manifested when the basic principles of life are observed. There are laws of positive thinking, which have been known since ancient times. People noticed the influence of actions, thoughts on their lives. 1. The law of attraction. A person attracts people, events depending on the inner mood, attitudes, thinking. Similar people find each other as soulmates and, if others like, then everything is in order with the inner world, and if not everything suits you, then you need to urgently change yourself. 2. The law of giving. To receive benefits, one must first give. So for love, you need to love others, for money, to help those in need, for building relationships, to show more attention to loved ones. All people need love and support. For success, you need to give something to others, customers with a quality service, help in solving issues. Money should not be at the head of everything, otherwise there will be no return. Now even in books on business they talk about the principle of donation, patronage and assistance to orphanages, shelters, sports organizations have become very popular. The main thing is that even a small action should be sincere, come from the heart. 3. The law of retroactivity. If you feel that not everything is working out in life, it is always easier to get angry, pour anger into words, actions, and if you find a way to another, influence through good. Often, when we do the opposite, things can change. Even in ordinary life, you should not fan conflicts in the family, focus on problems. Look for something good, create a positive world and the good will come back. This does not apply to crisis and critical situations related to life, rather refers to communication and solving current issues. 4. The law of positive thoughts. The main thing is to restore order in the soul, in your inner world, and then the universe will answer, help in solving the problem. When a person does not understand his goals, then the solution does not come. And positive thinking helps to look to the future with faith. Psychologists say that in order to obtain results in life, you need to raise your thoughts, acquire the thinking of a successful person, and create an internal image. The power of positive thinking is often underestimated by people. Not everyone understands the meaning of words. Positive thinking does not imply thoughtless fun, rather a conscious search for the positive aspects of life, the ability to create your own world, believe, go to your goals, regardless of external factors. The power of positive thinking from a Tibetan perspective. Tibetan wisdom has surprised people for many centuries, and in fact includes the development of positive thinking, as the basis for healing a person on a spiritual and physical level. The sages realized that there is a power of positive thinking, sought to use it to the maximum in life, taught students. A method of eliminating negativity and problems in 28 days is proposed. Perform the exercise twice a day for 25 minutes in the morning and evening. It is necessary to sit down, relax and, closing your eyes, imagine the problem that exists in life, and then how it burns in a fire or is broken with a huge hammer. Usually, after the disappearance of the problem, the negative thoughts behind the disturbing situation appear. Due to the regularity of the exercise, the thoughts will be cleared, positive energy will appear, which will contribute to solving the painful issue. At the end of each session, you need to mentally give thanks to the hardships of life for the experience and the future good for the transformation of life, the change for the better. Tibetan sages believe that all human problems are associated with negative emotions and mental impurities. What are they and how to deal with them? There are 8 types of mental pollution: envy, jealousy, cupidity, anger, lust, arrogance, careless actions, thoughts, egoism. Moreover, it is useless to fight emotions, they need to be learned to understand, accept, and transform into positive energy. According to the teachings, mental impurities disrupt the flow of energy between the brain and body, creating mental discomfort and illness on a physical level. A person prone to such emotions cannot feel happiness. What is happiness and how is it created? Tibetan sages believe that happiness is created through the balance of mental energies that intertwine and support each other. The right to happiness has the person who helps to create happiness, is in harmony with the outside world, strives for his achievements and shares success with the outside world, giving part of his knowledge, skills, energy. However, we always also give as much as possible, without excesses and imbalances. Positive thinking in this case is a way to make life easier, to create happiness, joy, and love. The presence of love in a person, in the soul, contributes to creative thinking. Correct thinking helps to gain control over life, however, it also calls for responsibility, does not give the opportunity to write off everything on the circumstances of life and the influence of negative forces. This is the only way to learn how to create your life. To gain success in life, it is necessary to observe the basic rules. The result should benefit the person and others, the desire must be useful in all respects, to realize what the achievement of the goal will give, how life will change, to clearly imagine it. The power of positive thinking will develop if you learn to transform negative energy into positive energy. How can this be achieved? Tibetan sages advise using the meditation technique. First, analyze the situation, what is bothering, what is the reason, whether a change is possible and in what way. How do others perceive this phenomenon? It is necessary to sit down and, closing your eyes, imagine how you throw into the fire the cause of negative emotions, which burns and turns into positive energy. A blue column of light appears from the red fire. We feel how the light fills the body and soul, the heart, and then we give it to the outside world, filled with powerful positive energy. It is claimed that the result is felt immediately, the state of mind improves and even there are visible changes in the surrounding world. Maybe it should be used? Another very important point is the thought of the day. Every morning a person wakes up with a certain thought that sets the tone for the whole course of the day. Therefore, in order not to fall under the influence of negativity, it is better to independently establish this thought. For example, day of rest, day of success, day of increasing revenues. Such a thought should be repeated loudly 18 times so that it is imprinted in the mind and directs thinking during the day. You can repeat a few thoughts. Interestingly, thoughts have an impact not only on a person, but also on the people around them. Try to send positive energy to loved ones and relatives to improve their lives, avoiding anger and rage. The power of positive thinking is evident in every day you live. And in order to gain success and happiness, it is important to temper the ardor of desires, to allow thoughts to slow down, to find a way to achieve the goal, and not to be in chaotic movement and fear of despair. It is important to learn to treat life more simply, not to complicate it, to observe inner harmony, then it will be much easier to relate to the complex issues of life. Everything is frail and not worth worrying about, life flows calmly like a river, and nothing can stop this movement. Observe the beauty of the world, opening your heart and soul. Positive thinking helps people make discoveries. The movement of mankind forward fully depends on personalities with a positive attitude. You should understand which psychological type you belong to. Introvert personalities are closed on their own self. Their emotional background is even, has no differences. These people will never look for noisy companies. Loneliness for them is a familiar and beloved environment. A positive attitude for such people is a difficult goal to achieve. Extroverts are open, socializing people. In most cases, this type of personality is characteristic of people who tend to consider life's difficulties as a way of self-improvement. Extroverts rarely face the question, how to tune themselves to the positive. Usually these are the people who charge others with their zest for life. Features of extroverts. The power of positive thinking is fully revealed in a number of features inherent in extroverts: interest in the development of new unexplored boundaries, craving for knowledge, striving to make your life better, planning your actions, ability to work in order to achieve the set goals, positive or neutral attitude towards others, a careful analysis of the lives of successful people, taking into account their knowledge and experience in their activities, an even attitude to their victories, reasonable attitude to material values, emotional generosity within reason. Conventionally, you can combine the concepts of extrovert and positive thinking, and introvert with negative. However, this classification is very simplistic. It is not necessary to say that a certain type of character has exclusively positive or negative features. Negative thinking. Psychologists divide the process of thinking into positive and negative. The ability to think is a tool of every individual. Depending on the level at which the person owns it, his life is built. Negative thinking is based on individual qualities, experience, the world around us. It is an indicator of a low level of brain capabilities. People with this kind of thinking are characterized by the accumulation of negative emotions with age. At the same time, the person often completely denies all the facts that are unpleasant for him. Thinking about traumatic situations, a person tries to find all possible options that will help him avoid its recurrence. Unfortunately, such thoughts only lead to the fact that the personality completely switches to the negative, without seeing the positive aspects. Sooner or later, the individual ceases to see his life in bright colors. Before him there are only grey, difficult everyday life, which he is no longer able to cope with. Features of a negative thinking person. Concentrating all his attention on the negative points, a person is constantly looking for the cause and the guilty. At the same time, the individual does not notice the possibilities for changing the situation. This is due to the fact that in each solution he still finds flaws. Often this leads to a loss of opportunities. The basic properties of a person who finds it difficult to think positively include unwillingness to change the way of life, search for negative aspects in the new, unwillingness to learn, to gain new knowledge, frequent nostalgia, waiting for hard times, careful preparation for them, the desire to do nothing, but to get what you want, negative attitude towards people around, inability to think positively, constant explanation of difficult circumstances of life, stinginess in all spheres of life. A negative thinking person cannot clearly articulate their desires. He strives to make his life easier, but he does not know how to do it. Sometimes one negative thought is enough for it, like a snowball, to grow a huge number of negative ideas. If a person wants to acquire positive thinking, then he must begin changes with himself. The world is thought. One of the first steps on the way to using its energy resources is to understand the impact of negative attitudes on life. The second step is to eliminate harmful ideas. If you do not eliminate them as quickly as possible, you can forever lose positive thinking. The negative realms of being are always disguised as something complex, overly rational. Only positive thinking will help to cope with them. However, in order to master it, you need to make an effort. We hear about the fact that the world is on the verge of collapse, about the lost generation every day. However, everyone faces difficulties, the only question is how to treat them. Thinking positively, predicting only good scenarios, is a habit that can be developed. The prism of negative thinking. Pick at random any period of human history, and you will find yourself in those times when everyone complains, life has become just terrible, we are ruled by fools who themselves do not know what they are doing. I bet you're hearing that right now. They prophetic Cassandras around make their dark prophecies, this time it's different. Now these bastards have really ruined everything. It is not easy not to succumb to a panic mood for a number of reasons. You know for sure you're going to die. From the point of view of the physical body, the end is near. You don't think about it consciously, but the reminder of your own mortality stimulates the stress hormones that cause the brain to look for threats. An animal experiences a sense of threat when danger hangs over its relatives. When all members of a herd or pack share a sense of danger, they have a pleasant sense of unity, to which they always aspire. An animal risks losing this connection if it ignores alarms from its relatives, so it is a very strong incentive to share with others a sense of danger. Danger warning allows you to get social rewards, so we hear so many messages of this kind. The brain gets used to previous threats, and people have to report increasingly serious dangers in order to receive their rewards. These messages surround us in the format of works of fiction, movies, television shows, literature, non-fiction, news, politics, research, and we can easily add our own threat messages using social media. You may have heard the view that a crisis is a good thing because it helps to destroy the old bad world, on the remnants of which we are ours, we will build a new world. In this way, you program your brain to anticipate a crisis, and your cerebral cortex will have no trouble finding evidence to support that expectation. Unfortunately, expecting a reward after a crisis doesn't allow you to consider more positive alternatives to it. Cortisol motivates the cerebral cortex to seek evidence of danger. The cerebral cortex copes with this task with a bang. If you're uncomfortable, she finds some negativity to explain the feeling. By saying, "Life has never been so terrible," you forget how things have been in the past. Even if you have studied certain historical periods, the events described in the books are not able to activate the stress hormones in the way that real dangers do. The challenges you face today are always perceived as more serious, even when you know the historical facts to the contrary. Many perceive their anticipation of a crisis as a way to help. They criticize those who do not share their opinions, and may even accuse them of not wanting to help those who think positively. This should not stop you if you decide to develop the habit of thinking positively. You can enjoy your achievements, not the anticipation of a crisis. When you hear others discuss modern life, don't forget that their reaction mechanisms are inherited from their mammalian ancestors. The brain tries to stimulate the hormones of happiness and avoid stress in ways that previously justified themselves. Living with such reaction mechanisms is not easy. Nevertheless, you can learn to concentrate on the positive, while everyone around you thinks negatively. When your survival is threatened, it seems that the survival of the entire world is in jeopardy. Each of us decides for himself what wave he will be tuned to, regardless of the opinions of others. The decision to think positively is not yet widespread. You can see this with a little mental experiment. Imagine two empty platforms in the speaker's corner in London. You go up to the first platform and say, "The world is rolling into tartarars." And now you go to another platform and say, "We're going to solve our problems." Wasn't it true that in the first case you were more comfortable? Didn't you think it sounds ridiculous when you promise to solve problems? Did you feel that you were seen as an intelligent and subtle person when you warned others about the crisis, and took your words with disbelief and criticism when you promised a bright future? Critics' arguments are easily predictable. What about the environmental crisis? Or economic? Let's analyze how to focus on decisions instead of hiding behind negative thinking. Ecological crisis. When I was little, black smoke was coming from the exhaust pipes of cars, and industrial waste was pouring into local water bodies. When my grandmother was little, everything in her house was covered with a thin film of coal dust. This coal dust got into people's lungs. A swamp of black industrial waste was right outside her home because there were no pipes that diverted them into the river. Today, carbon dioxide emissions are on the agenda, because emissions of more serious substances have already been limited. We may worry about long-term threats because we have dealt with the immediate danger. We worry about the fact that there are different plastics in the water, and, of course, this should cause concern. But earlier the water was polluted with more toxic substances. We should be glad that we have made such progress. Many people think that it is useful to draw attention to the topic of environmental pollution. However, because of this, we cease to notice what great success has been achieved in the field of combating environmental pollution over the past few decades. Ignoring grand success is not the right thing to do. The desire to do something to help the planet is undoubtedly worthy of respect. However, this may be a positive feeling rather than a negative one. It is unrealistic to expect that the reserves of natural resources on Earth are unlimited, and therefore it would be realistic to try to preserve them. Each of us can contribute to reducing the consumption of resources. And it won't cause anger at the system or fear that the person is doomed. This can be done with a positive attitude, to show imagination or increase the efficiency of the resources used. It is difficult to think positively when all the incoming information is negative. Positive thinking, work. We want the work to be fun. It doesn't always work out because we're constantly being judged. When someone evaluates your work, it's easy to perceive it as a threat to survival, although at the same time you yourself evaluate the work of other people. Evaluation in the workplace brings us a huge benefit that we rarely notice. The quality of goods and services has increased significantly, but our expectation that everything and always should be flawless leads to the fact that we operate in conditions of strict quality control at work. If your bank makes a mistake, it frustrates you, but you don't notice billions of successful banking transactions. If there is an overlay in the restaurant, the visitor is upset, but the fact that the restaurant has impeccably served 100 visitors is taken for granted. We do not rejoice in the high-quality standards to which we are accustomed, because we invariably look for shortcomings and feel that we are also evaluated. According to the principle of defect-free quality control, any defect is perceived as a crisis. I taught people this principle when I taught control theory, and now I regret that I did not teach them to notice how much of everything works properly along with accidental breakdowns. Positive thinking, money. A common fear of many people is poverty in old age. However, fears about this are often unrealistic. If you need professional care, there will always be specially trained people with higher education next to you, who will encourage you not to lose activity. At the same time, they will help you in everything, even raise a handkerchief if you drop it so that you do not bend over. And if you reach for this handkerchief and fall, you will be taken to the doctor, no matter whether you hit or not. Such behavior becomes a necessity, as everyone is afraid of lawsuits and proceedings. This begins to manifest itself at all stages of life, from the cradle to the deathbed. In the past, people somehow existed without expert guidance from the outside. Today it seems that without the services of consultants it is impossible to cope with birth, education, career, family life, old age. When a person spends his entire adult life worrying about the right school, the right job, the right home, most likely, he will be concerned about choosing the right nursing home. It is important to understand that the realism of the fear of poverty is linked to the country of residence. In some countries, social responsibility is very high, where the author lives. Further, speaking of vocational care and specially trained people with higher education who help the elderly, she means these countries. In others, after the onset of old age, people expect a serious deterioration in their financial situation, and their expectations are justified. The fear that you will run out of money before you die actually reflects the opposite fear: you will die, and the money will remain. The economy is powerless. So don't think about the inevitable pain at the end of the road, but enjoy every step along the way. Social status. Each of us strives to win the respect of society, and today many are trying to do this with the help of a career. This is such an exhausting occupation that we do not even realize how much worse things were before, when in order to gain authority in the eyes of others, it was necessary to win fist fights, give birth to as many children as possible or integrate into a rigid hierarchy, clergy, army, aristocracy. 3. The mammalian brain feels social dominance when a person's career goes uphill. When a person doesn't get the promotion they were hoping for, they perceive it as a threat to survival. The feeling of threat remains, while positive emotions pass, as soon as the person's attention switches to the next goal. The brain always strives to increase the status and fix threats. The reason is not in the economy. A person cannot have constantly high levels of serotonin. The concept of positive thinking. Positive thinking is the result of a thought process, when a person sees most of his advantages in solving any life situations and perceives the world around him in the most favorable light for himself. Generic in relation to the term positive thinking is the concept of thinking. Thinking itself is one of the highest cognitive mental processes. The essence of such a process lies in the generation of new knowledge on the basis of creative reflection and transformation of reality by man. A person can realize the need for positive thinking and self-improvement through self-development of the individual. The aphorism of V.G. Belinsky is famous: reason is given to man in order to live reasonably, and not so that he sees that he does not live intelligently. Features of positive thinking. You can label positive thinking as a tendency to focus on the bright side of life and on the expectation of positive results. Having a positive mindset means turning it into a habit, constantly finding the best solutions, and getting the most out of any situation. Positive thinking is thinking about what exists and not about what is not, as mentioned above, is the desired result of personality. In the course of past experience, a person may be busy looking for opportunities. He concentrates on opportunities, prospects, distracts his attention from what upsets him. But because of doubts, experiences, negative experiences, it is difficult to achieve the desired result. In this regard, it can be noted that positive thinking is closely related to personal maturity. Positive thinking can be considered thinking, the result of which is the generation of new knowledge, the creation of effective means of solving practical problems, the formation of harmonious relations of partnership and cooperation. Positive thinking forms positive emotional states and creates the basis for friendly behavior. It is extremely comfortable to communicate with a person who thinks positively, and the difficulties that arise in practice begin to be overcome next to such a person as if with themselves. There are traits and characteristics associated with positive thinking. Optimism, willingness to make efforts and take risks. Accepting failure, acknowledging that things don't always work out the way we want them to, the ability to learn from our mistakes. Resilience, recover quickly from troubles, disappointments, and failures, do not give up. Gratitude, appreciate what we have. Mindfulness, the ability to focus on the present moment. Honesty, to be truthful and direct, not deceitful and selfing. Researchers involved in this area have proven the influence of positive emotions on the worldview of a person. The results of studies have shown that positive thinking makes a person more open, effective, courageous. He is able to think more effectively and find the best ways to solve problems. How to avoid pseudo-positive thinking? To date, it is in fashion to constantly conduct and share the results of research that is designed to show how positive thinking affects the well-being and happiness of people. While some results may indicate a link between happiness and well-being on the one hand and the application of positive thinking on the other, much more abundant evidence is that the collapse of illusions provokes bitter disappointments that often lead to pathological forms of depression. Pseudo-positive thinking is the concentration on images that are pleasant to a person, but which are not followed by the organization of real actions. In addition, the higher the expectations, the more devastating the effect of disappointment is when they are not realized. An example of such thinking would be, I need to write an article, and I have a cold and feel weak, but I will try to write, because I have 2 weeks, I hope and believe that I will recover and pass everything on time. Or, from Monday I will start eating right, and playing sports, and I will become as slim and fit as my girlfriend Nastia. To avoid pseudo-positive thinking, it is necessary to rely on the already existing positive results. In this case, confidence will be in their abilities and resources, manifested before in practice, increases. This means that efforts need to be stepped up because of proven efficacy, which is the opposite of unsupported and illusory expectation. Also, when talking about positive, pseudo-positive thinking, it is important to understand what negative thinking is. Negative thinking is pessimistic, depressive, suspicious, cynical, and sometimes even self-destructive thinking. This is thinking, the subject of which is the absence of something, and not the presence of something, i.e. a person thinks what he does not want, and not what he wants. Positive thinking can be designated as logical, productive thinking, the reason for which is no longer difficult to guess. Each of us can learn to apply ways, so to speak, keys to mastering such thinking through principles and goal setting. Ways to develop positive/logical thinking. By force of will to direct attention to the desired goal, what you want to achieve. Tracking your attention, i.e. trying for a long time not to use attention on one object, a negative object. To choose priority problems/tasks, i.e. what is relevant for a person, is more important. The use of affirmations, because it is the affirmation that is a statement that has an affirmative character. For example, I rejoice in all my achievements, and they come to me again and again. In modern psychology, affirmation has a positive context and has the effect of self-hypnosis, revealing a certain psychological mood. Be able to cooperate, as positive thinking is realized in joint activities, and it is an important part of the structure of interpersonal relationships. Think logically correctly, i.e. do not show confusion, doubt. It is also very important to learn the 4 laws of formal logic. Think logically correctly, i.e. do not show confusion, doubt. Also, one of the ways is the assimilation and application of the basic laws of formal logic. First is the law of identity, which reveals the preservation of any thought in the process of reasoning, the preservation of the same content or meaning in the repetition of reasoning. Each concept should be used in the same sense, A equals A. Second is the law of contradiction, in which 2 opposing statements about the same subject at the same time, in the same respect, cannot be simultaneously true, A is not A. The third law is the law of excluded superfluous, when of the 2 opposite propositions, one must be true, the other false, and the third is not given, either A or not A. The fourth characterizes the law of sufficient reason, in which any thought must be proved by other thoughts whose truth has been proven earlier. Double negation is identical to proposition. Formal logic is usually understood as the science of laws and forms of thought. Such logic is needed to verify the correctness of reasoning in the modern world. It is very important to abstract from specifics and take into account only the general form of judgment or question, because without this it is impossible to develop positive thinking. Some keys to positive thinking are noted for the supplement. To face adversity, and laugh, be able to accept gifts. Enjoy the surprises of life, even if it's not what we originally wanted, motivate others with a positive word. Use a smile, be friendly. Be a source of energy that inspires others. Understand that relationships are more important than material things. To be happy, even when we are missing something. Have a good time, even when we're not in the mood. Rejoice for the success of other people. Be optimistic, no matter how bad the current circumstances are. Doing someone's days. Don't complain, no matter how unfair the circumstances may seem. Do not allow someone else's negativity to offend you. Give more than expect something in return. Be true to yourself. Always. General principles of positive thinking. Thinking or talking about what exists, not what doesn't exist. Thinking and talking about what I want, not what I don't want. Think and talk about opportunities, not obstacles and difficulties. Believe in the achievability of their goals, remember that speaking is an impact, be able to easily admit your mistakes, feel responsible for their guilt, engage in self-education, it strengthens the character. A list of questions to understand your statements and rethink. What did I mean, with that phrase? Where does this phrase lead me? And what do I really want from this phrase? How do I feel when I say that? Goal setting. At the heart of positive thinking is a person's awareness of his own life goals and the desire to realize these aspirations without expecting other people to meet his expectations. Therefore, a person who thinks positively speaks and thinks about what is, and not about what is not, about what he wants to achieve, and not about what he would like to get rid of. Therefore, special attention should be paid to the goal that a person sets for himself, because it is the goal that is the ideal image of the desired result/future. General requirements for the purpose: definite and simple. Measurable and consistent. Achievable, true, and approved. Relevant, acceptable, and realistic. Limited in time, since there are short-term and long-term goals. Contents. Clear mental image of the desired, conscious formulation. A sense of achievability of an anticipated result. Vision of deadlines, time frames for achieving the goal. Knowledge of the criterion for achieving the goal. Plan and monitor its implementation. A sense of pleasure in anticipating success. Concrete actions to achieve the goal. Typical mistakes when setting a goal: ignoring the strategic goal. The formulation of the goal is negative. Vague formulation of the goal. Partial application of priorities. Officially stated goals do not correspond to reality. If you don't know where you are going, how do you know you've come? M. Twain. In conclusion, it can be noted that positive thinking is a stage in the development of the thought process, based on the perception of the surrounding world in the most favorable light for itself. Positive thinking allows a person to set up experiments, learn new aspects of life, open up opportunities for their own growth. People with positive thinking focus on the positive side of the subject. Even in moments of failure they remain in the win. The movement of mankind forward fully depends on personalities with a positive attitude. Our life is sometimes unpredictable, and sometimes it is not possible to predict when and where the next lesson will lie in wait for you. How to think positively with any difficulties? Start small, because a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.